Hi everybody, it is March 28, 2024. March flew by, didn't it? Sherry, our own Sherry, had a power outage in Oklahoma today. Did you find out why? Yeah, I didn't see any weather in your neck of the woods, but I think we're going to be experiencing periodic random power outages. Analog synth player Linty London, Alicia DeMoss, and Crazy Potts, and Rage Against the Machine, Justin Wynn, Andrew Cruz, Christy Hazelwood. Hello. And Cherry, thank you, as always. Christy Hazelwood, I said hello, but I'm going to say hello again, because that's just who I am. Yeah, Oracle 11. Demarque. Czech Rock Stars. Hey, Czech. Nice to see you. Pooch Palace. Barb in Ohio. Jay Northrup. And Deacon Blues. Space Indian. Ray Clay. Laura Larson. Tom. Hi. Hi, everybody. So, let's just check out radar, shall we? Now, if you remember last night's live, I showed you this weather front starting in the Gulf and going all the way up the East Coast right on into Canada. Yeah. Well, we didn't have weather fronts like that, but now we have them pretty much all of the time. And it just looked nasty. So it's kind of off the coast of North Carolina, a bit inward New Jersey and Long Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire and Maine, and on up into Canada. Got some nice, extremely low frequencies blasting away. Nevada into Washington, into Idaho, and over here in Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan. They love those extremely low frequencies. Also shots down here, Georgia, into Florida, Alabama. We're at war. You're seeing the weapons they're using. How about these shots? West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and a wee bit of Ohio. I want to show you my lovely sky and moon that was, well, high up in the sky this morning, and it should not have been there. What is going on? So the sun had just risen, and this is how high the moon is? What is going on? My cats are around. I have to get them in the video. Okay. Well, as many have said, oh look, it's so close. My zoom is so good you can see the hair on this moon. Bits of hair. It's insane what we are living, but what we are living, we didn't live before. It's the new world. How do you like it? Mama Rages, thank you. And hello, FEMA Region 3 and Demanufacture and Trace, BMCC, Christopher Levens. Hi. Kenosis. So, and yeah, the sky was not very pretty today. Let's see what this was still quite early in the morning. Maybe about 7 o'clock. Oh, I knew it was going to be a glorious day of a whole lot of cloud, manufacturing, here in Arizona. didn't know there was a kennel right behind me until I got here. So, and those are the dogs barking. But as you can see, these are the nanobots being activated. They come together, they coalesce, and they bring about cumulus cloud. And if you don't think so, you better bring me a good argument. Nanotechnology in the works. This was early afternoon. Microwaves were active, quite active today.
I say, look at that, and how fast they covered it, Carol. And the microwaves were over here, now they turned into something else. Now they're over there.
Yeah. So they did cover the sky very quickly. Very quickly indeed. And they do use an awful lot of electromagnetic frequencies to do that. They use the electromagnetic frequencies to spread about the cloud, making it bigger, thicker. Look at all of them. You see the ripples in the cloud, right? They were going at it today. And then later on, still looked pretty much the same, but it looked like the clouds were kind of growing thicker, and all of these microwaves. Well, the microwaves are not just there, they're in the atmosphere. You're in the atmosphere. We're all being affected by what you're seeing. We're all being affected by these ripples. But really, do you think that this is real cloud? Well, for the younger generations, yeah, because that's all they know. And it's kind of heartbreaking that we've left them this. But this was probably, I don't know, 3:30, and the sky just looked, well, it looked sick. It looked ill. It didn't look quite right, do you think? Is that the word I'm looking for? Everything's so manufactured. But I want you to pay close attention to this rectangle, to this, all of the ripples in this cloud, how squared off and how cut out is this piece, maybe to fit this piece. And, well, I'm going to show you what it looked like only about 5 minutes later, which was rather fast to bring about the smoothness and the... See, that to me doesn't even look like a cloud. This, it looks like, some manufactured gray blob in the sky. But they got it all working together to look pretty much the same. But it was really remarkable how fast they got this going to just cover the entire sky. Looks pretty awful. So this was the one 5 minutes later, because I noticed that this rectangle, wow, and the smoothness, and that was a mighty nice pulse. When the camera goes in and out of focus. That's from the that's another one. So they smoothed it out, somewhat. And the guy that looking more like a cloud instead of a gray blob. So, no, this is not natural. You guys know it. I know it. And I'm sure an awful lot of people know it. But they just don't want to talk about it. And isn't that a shame? So, I'm going to go through this window of, I come across so much information that I so want to share with you guys. And I started a third window. I'm just going to go through this quickly. But our Treasury Secretary admitted this.
Okay. Has Treasury really not looked at, okay, we're already charging $4.9 trillion for the deficit, for Medicare, for a lot of other things, and now we got to add social, but we haven't done the math to figure out how much that tax rate would have to be?
The president doesn't have a plan. He has principles. He wants to work with Congress to find a way to protect Social Security and extend its solvency beyond 2034.
Now, if the president wishes and he doesn't have a plan, Madam Secretary, how could he justify not having a plan when he's been in office for 3 years already?
He believes it's important to work with Congress and not
Madam Secretary, he has not worked with us at all. On this Senate Finance Committee, we've not heard from the president.
That, I'm sure, made all Americans feel very secure. The Treasury Secretary comes up, this was purposeful, comes up and admits the president doesn't have a plan. He has principles. Really? What the hell are Biden's principles? He has principles. He's got to work with Congress. So, this Social Security issue has been going on my entire adult life, along with every other issue that we're facing today that somehow the exceptional Americans just can't solve any of the problems. They just go on endlessly. So no plan, Biden. And this, a teacher sacked for refusing to use correct pronouns for a transgender student. It says he has no regrets.
Please, on the tribunal yesterday.
I am devastated. I just don't know what to say. The statement that Carol Kitching has just said, that it was the way that I harassed and discriminated against student A, is nonsense. And we demonstrate. I'd like to think I demonstrated that in the hearing. There was one conversation I had with student A, that was at the end of a class when she was considering entering a girls' maths competition, and I was encouraging her to do the competition. She got very emotional. I said, "Is it your decision to transition that's upsetting you?" "Yes," she said. And I explained to her the risks associated with it as best as I possibly could. And she went away and said she'd think about it. And then she entered the girls' competition. So I thought, well, she had thought about it. Maybe she concluded that she was a girl after all and didn't need to be a boy. And nothing much then happened. And then in January, so this first conversation with student A was in September. Then in January, her friend, student B, stays behind after class and demands and instructs me that I need to refer to student A as a male. And then I tried to explain to her, why I thought that was a bad idea, and why she should maybe try and help and be a friend and with a critical friend rather than just a kind friend, to be a critical friend. And I tried to give a reasons why I thought it was the idea of transitioning is a bad idea. And that's the only two conversations I had. The conversation I had with student B, that 5-minute conversation at the end of the class where she instructed me how to behave, and basically the only instruction I had to use incorrect pronouns was from student B. That was the sole thing that was used to support the claim of discrimination and harassment.
So
people are suffering the consequences. They're losing their jobs over their principles Oh, well, I still believe in science. I still believe in biology. I believe that a girl is a girl, and I'm not going to back down. Get sacked. Breaking: Israel has bombed refugee camp in North Gaza.
ناقل لكم المشهد والصورة استهداف لمركز مقيد الساعة الآن 12:10 بعد منتصف الليل. هذا هو المشهد كما تشاهدون تماما، استهداف لمركز مقيد بأدوات الأجهزة الكهربائية.
You tell me, where do these people have to go that it's safe? Nowhere. They don't have that. They just don't have it.
Well, I was raised in an activist household.
Yvette Clark, how dare you stand here and say that you speak for New Yorkers, say that you speak for the rights of women. We're seeing Palestinian women being violated in the worst possible ways by the Israeli occupation forces, and you have not said a single word. You have not called it a genocide.
How dare you stand here? You are a war criminal. How dare you vote to be from UNRWA? How dare you forcibly starve Palestinians to death?
You're arming Israel, right? You're sending weapons and money to Israel to kill Palestinians right now. You stop UNRWA, the main organization funding education and food to Palestinians.
They have the funding for this year.
That funding that was allocated before a genocide began. How could that funding ever be enough when 80% of the infrastructure has been destroyed?
Remember,
a foreign government millions, billions of dollars every year, and you're okay with that. Before October 7th, you're still sending money to them. Yvette Clark, you get high! Yvette Clark, you get high! These are doing genocide! These are doing genocide!
I have to say, the young on this issue are very impressive. Oh, they have moral backbones. Huh. Well, I don't know if any of you are watching what's going on in Gaza, in the West Bank, but it's horrifying. It's beyond heartbreaking that that just doesn't work. You know, there's got to be another word for it. Hey, L78. Thank you for coming in. All right, I'm going to link below to this if you want to watch the entire video, but man, do we have a problem. Oh, well, you guys know it, but yeah.
Is this how it all kicks off? What in the actual hell is going on? China's elite hacking units hacked voting information of 40 million citizens in the UK. Like, everyone. You know what else they did? Something a little more close to home, as I'm American. They tried to put malware in America's electrical grids to cause panic and disaster. They also sent over 10,000 infected emails to hack American politicians, but not just that, dissidents and people who are critical of the Chinese government. The Justice Department indicted individual Chinese hackers for what Attorney General Merrick B. Garland called a 14-year effort to target and intimidate Beijing's critics around the world. The impact of what I'm about to tell you of what they could have just pulled off is actually insane. I think it's one of the biggest escalations we've ever seen in the conflict with China and the West. Have you ever
And we've got open borders. And we have military-aged Chinese nationals crossing the border. You like it? We're going to see so many attacks. We won't even know who is doing it. They're just going to blame whomever they want. No apologies, Julio. No apologies. It's nice to see you. All right, so we're going to listen to quite a bit of JWTV on April 8th. CERN is firing up on April 8th. And here we go. I put the link in the chat. You can listen to the full 13 minutes. I'm not going to play that long, but here we go.
Potentially going to emergency rooms and a biological hazard that could be released from the atmosphere. And we're going to go into the spiritual aspect of what's going on as well. So this is going to be a very deeply important video today, going even deeper than we did before. So April 8th is the date that is set in stone because you have too many things happening all at this one period. You have CERN saying that they're firing up. As you can see, physics and ISOLDE downstream PS booster will start on April 8th. So CERN is going to be opening up the portals, basically. And when I say that word portals, it's more into this subject that ties into the whole April 8th matter. Now, you gotta understand that this process of them doing this right now, right during April 8th, is significant, especially because they were summoning beings during this time. People like Aleister Crowley was, the dark Satanist, obviously. He, on April 8th, as you can see, he made contact on April 8th, 9th, and 10th in 1904. Crowley reported that his voice, which he considered, originated with a non-corporeal being. Now, obviously, this being looks like some type of alien-looking thing or a demon, right? And that's because during these times, they're going through their ritualistic practices with these beings. And doesn't it seem strange that everything turns dark and then those beings can come in? So let's go deeper into this though, because that's not it. Basically, portals in the realm of spirituality, shamanic practices, solar eclipses hold profound significance as portals of transformation and renewal. Speaking of portals, right in March, New York City is getting that same portal looking mirror, which mirrors another way into the universe for these beings. So they got it in spring. Sci-fi like portal between New York and Dublin this spring. A public technology portal sculpture will bring the people of New York and Dublin together. Dublin is a groundbreaking visual bridge. Now they got this already, and they did it in spring. Obviously being ready right on time for April. They say it's a new smart city project, but it's even deeper than that, because these portals that they're doing, and let's show a video clip of it really quick for you. April 8th, you have CERN, you have the mirrors, and the whole transmission between why you think on the movies you see something through your black mirror, and then all of a sudden that fear from that black mirror can bring those beings into existence, because they only feed off of the fear aspect. Everybody knows that here, right? Because you're spiritually basically inclined and you understand it. So all the people saying nothing's going to happen April 8th, nothing's going to happen. Spiritually, energetically, yes, something is about to happen. Let's go deeper than that. In New York, and the mirrors that's been set up right in between. Let's read a little bit of it for you here. It goes to say that we are honored that the host portal North American debut Plaza is one of New York's most dynamic intersections. The real-time connection between two iconic public spaces in global cities either side of Atlantic will bring people together both physically, digitally, and becoming a captivating attraction for New Yorkers alike. Yeah, and also could bring those beings in alike too. So moving further into this, that gets a little bit more interesting as we look at this right here. I was looking at some of the HARP radio stuff, and then HARP was saying that, hey, ham radio operators, you should look into the solar eclipse and get on ham radio. And who's running it is the Jesuits the University of Jesuit University. It says Scranton. You got MIT involved. You got NASA obviously involved. And here's what NASA's doing. So NASA, I was finding out about this just the other day. My woman was telling me about this. And then you look into it, right? They're going to be launching some rockets into the atmosphere. And what we told you was they basically are the ones who put bacteria on the balloons in 2017, and that's how the biological release happens. We're going to just skip to the part where I say this. They're trying to fact check the fact that people will show up with sickness on the eclipse, which tells me there's another cover story behind all of this, right? Look at this. Prepare the emergency room, total solar eclipse approaching, and people will claim eclipse sickness. So now they're saying, oh, it might be flu-like symptoms and stuff like that. And people talking about sensitivity to electric and anxiety. Experts think people may potentially experience symptoms stemming from excitement and anxiety, but the eclipse itself has no bearing to human health. And again,
and we know that. Electromagnetic frequencies can cause all of those symptoms, and apparently thousands of people are going to the emergency rooms for a thunderstorm sickness. What do we have during these thunderstorms? Electromagnetic frequencies. I'm going to put the link in again, and you can listen to what he has to say about CERN. So, will April 8th, amount to anything? We don't know, right? We don't know. But it could. So, just prepare. Major power outage left thousands of customers without power in North Tulsa, and we don't know why. I was told a car hit 2 transformers, and luckily I have power. Heard some power lines caught fire, and some people are stuck in the elevator. Wow, okie dokie. So, what else do we have? We've got a rain tax being considered in Toronto. In Canada. All of Canada. The Canadian city of Toronto considers implementing a new type of tax. Plans are in place for its implementation in April. The government, in collaboration with water users and interested parties, is processing a, quote, storm water charge and water service charge consultation, unquote, program in a bid to tackle storm water management. Thank God these officials are on it. Otherwise, what would you do? The authorities are gathering feedback from water users and interested parties on the possible implementation of a stormwater charge and water service charge. And they're inviting water users, aren't we all water users, to take a survey before April 30th. Stormwater is, okay, I'm going to tell you what stormwater is. Stormwater, it's rain and melted snow. Thank God. Without these officials, without these websites, apparently, we wouldn't know what stormwater was. When not absorbed into the ground, stormwater runs off hard surfaces, onto streets, down storm drains, and through a network of pipes that carry it into local waterways. The official government website said, under this plan, the authorities plan to implement a stormwater charge across all property classes. Additionally, they will put in place a program that offers stormwater charge credits for larger properties alongside administrative water charges that are referred to as a water service charge. The website noted that a large amount of stormwater can overwhelm the city's sewer system, which can lead to flooded basements and impact the surface water quality of the city's rivers, streams, and lakes. Toronto's residents already pay water utility bills that include costs of storm water management. But it's not enough. They want to steal more money from you. The website states, quote, a stormwater charge would be based on the impact of a property with respect to stormwater runoff to the city's storm sewer system, which is represented by the amount of hard surface area on the property. Hard surfaces include roofs, asphalt driveways, parking areas, and concrete landscaping. Whoa. Something you've always had, but for some reason, whoa, it's climate change. That's right. Properties will be targeted. Absolutely, you will be targeted based on their impact on stormwater runoff into the city's storm sewer system, which will be measured by the amount of hard surface area on the property. All right, Canadians, you're known for being nice. Stop being nice. Your government is screwing you over big time. Big time. Toronto's overlords pondering the rain tax, but apparently they want a tax on all parking lots? This is going to affect an awful lot of businesses. And, ready? A secret, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police report warns Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are. You don't think they realize it already? The report authors warn that whatever Canada's current situation is, it will probably deteriorate further in the next 5 years. Oh, I think it's going to come sooner. It may descend into civil unrest once citizens realize the hopelessness of their economic situation. Now, we all know, right? Why did that go off? We all know that it is hopeless. That's why community has to come together and help one another. The coming period of recession will accelerate the decline in living standards that the younger generations have already witnessed compared to earlier generations. For example, many Canadians under 35 are unlikely ever to be able to buy a place to live. And that's all in the report. I will link below. There is more. But, wow. Nothing like telling it like it is. And should people do something to protect themselves? Yeah. Will they? Mm-hmm. So, this bridge, Baltimore, the Key Bridge, look at this. Look at how massive this bridge is.
What is the terrifying truth about the Baltimore Bridge tragedy? Well, take a look at this.
The ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States, here on our own soil.
Our country is really at an increased threat for a terrorist attack.
This is the Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore before it collapsed. Seems pretty solid, right? So, here we are. This is the Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. I mean, typical morning, people headed to work, some people working the night shift on their way home from work. You're on a solid bridge. You've been driving on this bridge for years, 30, 50 years? I think it's about 50 years old, this bridge here. The Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore before it collapsed. What happened on this fateful day? This is what a lot of people want to know. Why is the Biden administration trying to hurry up and, brush this under the rug and stop investigations? Why do they want to suffocate any conversation or questions about what really happened? This is a major bridge, and it was taken down by an overseas ship, a Ukrainian captain. Here we are on the middle of the bridge at this point. This is the middle of the Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. No one knew that this was about to happen. No one could have predicted it. Or could they?
Or could they? I'm going to link below to Ron Yates' video on this. And yeah, mainstream media, wow, they sure do come out fast talking about all of the conspiracy theories around this. Here, a cargo ship that hit Baltimore Bridge was also involved in the Antwerp collision in 2016. According to data from Vessel Finder and the Maritime Incident Archive shipwreck log, the cargo ship that collided with the Baltimore Bridge, named the Dolly, was also involved in a collision in Antwerp in 2016. And those working the dock have said that ship was having power problems prior to it leaving. So a whole lot of fingers can be pointed in a whole lot of directions. Maybe that's the point, right? But what surprised a structural engineering professor about this Baltimore Bridge collapse, now this is interesting.
We wanted to know what safety measures are in place here.
All of our bridges have protection systems in place to prevent ships from striking.
John Hanson is the CEO of the Delaware River Port Authority. He's closely following this collapse, but he says the key difference sits in the Delaware River near the bridge support piers.
When you talk about the Betsy Ross Bridge, we have concrete dolphins that are protective against ships that will prevent a ship from striking the pier. That's what we have at the Betsy Ross Bridge.
You can see those circular structures from Drone 6. And when you look at video from Baltimore, you don't see them near the support piers, something a structural engineering professor at Drexel noticed right away.
Why were there no protection systems around the pier?
Dr. Abe Agayiri analyzes structural collapses. He was surprised that this type of bridge, known as a continuous truss bridge, completely failed.
When something is continuous, it is supposed to be able to at least hang on. What I saw was that once the pier that was supporting that span gave way, the bridge just went down. There was no hesitation.
That is
so that's interesting. On these bridges, they have concrete pillars that if a ship is going to hit anything, it's going to hit the concrete pillar. But that bridge didn't have any. And it's right beside a port with all of these container ships passing that bridge. A lot of questions, for sure. Panama Canal traffic nearly halted. Okay, so we've got that port that is causing an awful lot of problems. Supply, well, the cost, a whole lot. Whole lot will be fired, losing their jobs. But we also have, well, the Panama Canal. Yeah, due to a drought, it's halting the cargo ships Yep. Not enough water. What is going to happen? A global supply chain nightmare to unfold. And this is weather terrorism. I will link below to this. You might want to check out that website. And yeah, we're looking, and Red Sea, you know, the Houthis not allowing some ships through. Oh, it's not going to be fun. Through the rest of the month, the Panama Canal Authority has suspended all bookings for super vessels in an attempt to mitigate the escalating backlog of ships waiting to proceed through the canal to their final destinations. Oof, there's a huge backlog. And I'm going to play this again because it has to be heard and it's got to sink in. We are looking at farmers being destroyed, and what does that mean for all of us? It means food prices are really going to skyrocket, and there's going to be a shortage. Well, we all know that that's the plan, right?
In the state of Oregon, they're going after and shutting down local producers, farmers, and small businesses due to the new definition of this CAFO bill. Now, a CAFO is a confined animal feeding operation that covers everybody that raises livestock. They're making them dig new trenches, new water treatment plants, and concreting all their corrals that animals are being fed on. Now, if they come to your farm or where you're producing your livestock and you're not up to their code, they will shut you down until you get it fixed. The thing about this is it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix everything, and farmers don't make a lot of money. We're not rich, and they know this. So it's an attack on small businesses and local producers to make everything go upstream and upscale back to the big businesses and the big packers. This is something we need to stand up and fight back against. So if you're in the state of Oregon, I am with you. Everybody that's with me, make sure you share this around, get the information out there.
I'll put the link in the chat. Information needs to be circulated, and we need to support farmers. We need to support each other. But listen to this. This was sent to me by our own T. Lamb. Insect protein.
Boy, I'm in the flour section of the grocery store. I wrote up something, a whole bunch of somethings. When it comes to flour, things are changing in the world. Have you ever heard of cricket flour? There are at least 6 or 7 countries in this companies in this world that's now using crickets, insects, to make flour. According to Dover's, PepsiCo is looking to use cricket proteins in products such as Cheetos and Quaker granola oats. Insect Gourmet says insect-related businesses in the Western world are producing insect proteins for foods, beverages, confectionaries, and other things such as butters, oils, and pestos, as well as spice and seasoning. So it's most likely going to show up, not be labeled, and you're not going to know it, in pretty much everything you eat. It is expected to reach $4.6 billion in sales by 2027 and produce 1.4 million tons of insect protein. ADM, Archer Midland Daniels, is in the process of producing insect foods in Decatur, Illinois right now in partnership with Innova Foods. That's on the ADM website. Exo, which is a company that makes cricket flour, says that crickets are 60% protein. However, Iowa State University etymology department says that crickets are only about 12.9%. And this would explain why the NIH, when they do their comparisons of protein levels in cricket flour, they compare them to plants, not animals. Cleveland Clinic said that about 30% of the cricket farms looked at have parasites that carry disease to humans, and that edible insects are as underestimated reserve of human and animal parasites. Yep, Cleveland Clinic said that they are an underestimated reservoir of parasites to humans and animals. According to the NIH, it is stated that they claim that the exoskeletons, or the chitin, is a digestible fiber, but they don't know how it digests. I found that more than just a little curious. And then turn around and say that if you consume chitin, well, it'll trigger immune responses in the body. According to Science Direct, this cricket flower has all the markings for high levels of detectable arsenic. The NIH says that novel foods such as crickets show presence of arsenic, aluminum, cadmium, chromium, and mercury in all those edible insects. This is a farm boy. That's what's going to be in our food supply soon. You need to get used to it.
Oh boy. I will put the link in. And Barb in Ohio, which video did you want? The link to Ron Yates's or to the structural engineer? I will put in both. That's the structural engineer who's saying something was missing. Something was missing around those pilings. And this is Ron Yates's video, which something weird is going on. You know, I have videos coming up and this whole section is blank. Not even the title of the video. Yeah, because I wanted, well, it's Ron Yates, so if you can't, this is a watch later link, I'm afraid. So you might not be able to get to his video via my watch later. Let me see if I can get to his channel. Wow. What the hell is going on? Nope. Nope. Spelled it wrong, but got him. Hey. Well, Never Lose Truth 5 is, I only do the live streams. I don't subscribe to. Never Lose Truth is what I subscribe to. So here is Ron Yates's channel. And you can get to his video via that link, or I'll bring it up here.
What is the terrifying truth about the Baltimore Bridge tragedy?
Oh, come on. All right, that's the link to his video. So, oh, there is just terrifying truths to everything that we're living now. So, yeah, and wow, if it's not California with all of these homes that are coming down from landslides, it's all the way across the country in Massachusetts. Houses, their foundations are cracking. Electromagnetic frequencies can cause all of this.
Look closely and you'll see the Haynes family home in Rutland is moving upward slowly. We'll speed up this clip and you can really see it move, separating the house from its foundation, a foundation that's crumbling.
It was about a year and a half ago that I noticed some cracking, and I wasn't thinking it was going to be this.
Homeowner Jeff Haynes says his concrete crumbled fast.
If you were thinking of buying in this area, you absolutely have to have the seller test the concrete first.
Test the concrete for pyrrhotite. Streaks of that naturally occurring mineral run underground through central Mass. If it makes its way into concrete, that concrete will eventually start to crack and crumble. State officials think thousands of homes, like this one, are ticking time bombs.
All told, we're looking at approximately in excess of $250,000.
All of a sudden, one day, you start to notice cracks in your basement, and you come to find out that your house is worthless.
Insurance won't cover a new foundation, and it's impossible to even get a bank loan for the work because the value of the house plummets.
The impact on the community and the individual family is incredible. So Massachusetts needs to do something.
Starting this summer, Massachusetts will mandate quarries test their product for pyrrhotite. But these state senators believe the state must come to the financial rescue of homeowners, much as Connecticut did, by setting up a fund to help pay for repairs backed by a $12 surcharge on homeowners insurance.
It's time for the legislators and the governor.
Now, I believe it was Deborah Tavares that I learned a while ago that they were adding that to concrete so that it would eventually crack and crumble. I'll put the link in if anybody cares to watch it, but I'm sorry, I think these are my watch later. Big problems. Yeah, have you gone into a grocery store or a drugstore and you have seen the lockup of an awful lot of the merchandise? I have. And I've needed what was locked up. Do you think I'm going to stand around waiting? You press a button, hopefully somebody will come and unlock the case so that you can get what you need. I don't have the patience, so I'm sure there's an awful lot of people who are just saying, to hell with it, leaving. But this is happening in more and more stores.
Know you're in Chicago when the laundry...
And it's not just Chicago. It's where I am here in Arizona.
...is locked up because of the smash and grabs. And they can't prosecute. There you go. Democrat run cities. That's what they look like. This not only laundry detergent, but deodorant. Well, at least they're using deodorant. Or they're just stealing it to resell it.
I mean, here's shampoo
Makeup.
that's locked up.
Yeah, expensive shampoo. Not even expensive. It's just pantry.
Tide soap is a big item people are stealing. I don't know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, all resell. So there you go. That's what happens when you allow criminals to do whatever they want. You don't.
And I was amazed at some of these products that are locked up. They're so cheap. And then you see really expensive items not locked up. Doesn't really make sense. I think they just want to cause inconvenience for people. 3 Arizona strip clubs drugged customers and charged their credit cards.
A scheme to charge customers' credit cards for excessively high amounts without authorization.
Nearly 20 alleged victims sued these clubs, claiming they were drugged and robbed in VIP rooms. Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum joins us live now with a story you will only see here on Fox 10.
Left incapacitated, waking up lost and confused to find several credit card transactions worth tens of thousands of dollars. That's how plaintiffs describe what happened to them at 3 clubs. The total amount of money charged between them easily clears $1 million. The alleged victims feeling violated and stripped of peace of mind.
Stripped of peace of mind in a strip club. Yeah, L78, I'd love to find a farm with you and your boys, and where is it? And this, again, no title. This is pissing me off.
It's not safe anymore. My kid is it's terrified. He's trauma. He has traumatized.
New tonight, a father is sharing his family's story after surveillance video shows a man tried to kidnap his son in Ocean Beach. This happened on Friday. Friday night, right in front of the father while the family was finishing dinner outside the new deli they just opened on Newport Avenue. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee. CBS 8's Abby Black spoke with the father and the family. It's, of course, is still shaken.
Adrian Villanueva says that he and his family were out here enjoying dinner. His 8-year-old son was playing right here on the sidewalk in Newport Avenue when a man grabbed him and tried to pull him across the street. All of it was caught on camera.
Watch this surveillance video as a man yanks an 8-year-old boy playing on the sidewalk in Ocean Beach.
He was like this, and he just grabbed my kid right here. He just grabbed him and put him down. And he said, "Is my son, is my son."
That's when Adrian Villanueva tried to pull his son from the would-be kidnapper.
And I pushed him. I said, "No, he's not your son." And then I tried to get him out, and that's why he grabbed my kid and he started running away through the street.
On the video, you can see bystanders rushing to help.
And the security guards from Pacific Shores and from the Harp, they come over here and they grab them and put him towards to the car. He was right here.
The Good Samaritans were able to pull the boy to safety and restrain the suspect until police got there.
Oh my God. He was crying. I say, "I miss my family. I miss my family."
Villanueva says he originally sympathized with the suspect and didn't want to press charges.
And I say no, because my human side said this guy, he was missing his child.
But now he says his son is traumatized.
No, you press charges. Newport, Long Beach, California. All right. A whole lot of children are being snatched up by people, so it's really very important that if you have young children, put them on a leash. No, but you know what I mean. Deadly stabbing spree in Illinois.
Well, turning now to this. We know at least 4 people are dead and 7 others injured after authorities say a man went on a stabbing spree in Illinois. A suspect now facing charges. ABC's Rena Roy has the details.
A brutal attack unfolding Wednesday in the middle of the afternoon in and around Rockford, Illinois.
This is a multi-jurisdictional event, which involves the county as well.
Rockford police say the initial calls came in around 1:15 p.m. The suspect first confronting a woman in her home.
The young lady ran from him. She got some stab wounds in her hands and her face. She's currently at a hospital and she is intubated. She is in serious condition. One of the Good Samaritans stopped to help her out. He did get some stab wounds. He's fine.
Authorities have identified the suspect as 22-year-old Christian Soto.
We have a suspect in custody who is being interviewed at this time. We don't believe there's any other suspects that are on the run or at large at this particular time.
And I just had a sense, listening to her, the hesitation, looking down, maybe she wanted to say illegal migrant. I don't know. But there are people who think that this is not happening, that it's all staged, that nothing happened. These are all crisis actors. I really do believe that now, they have let loose. They have let loose, and it's only going to get worse. Sacramento police in a helicopter telling everybody to get inside because they're looking for a violent carjacker or something. Okay. Good old Twitter. I will put the link in. It won't play. And some videos play and some don't. It's getting very annoying. But Sacramento police in a helicopter telling everyone to get out inside. What a flippin' world we're now living in. FBI shows up on this woman's porch after Meta flagged her pro-Palestine activity on Facebook. Welcome to freedom. Welcome to videos that just never play. The link is in the chat. Hopefully it will play for you. But wow, FBI show up to question a woman because how dare she? How dare she post pro-Palestinian support on Facebook? Nothing to see here, just the mayor of Baltimore threatening white people. They should be afraid because that's my purpose in life. I have an article on this, but let's listen to what he has to say.
Very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from scares them because me being at my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life of being comfortable and suffering and while everyone else suffers is going to be at risk, and they should be afraid because that's my purpose in life. Very proud of my heritage and who I am. And
be very afraid. Well, that's because of tweets. After the Baltimore bridge collapse, people were saying something about a DEI mayor and other tweets that, frankly, just gives the left ammunition to then have Joy Reid, who is such a rabid racist, have a whole segment on, oh, it's the MAGA right people, it's the white people. A thug with 7 prior arrests punched a lady directly in the face. So these punches are real, apparently. I did see a news broadcast on it, and women with the evidence on their face, but a man fractured her face, permanently damaged her lip, and knocked out her teeth.
Eyewitness News exclusive. Pichardo says he didn't say a word, just stared at her, then broke her jaw.
He hit me very, very strong over here. And he break everything here. Everything's break.
It happened yesterday around 5 p.m. on Grand Avenue near Dean Street. Pichardo is a school bus aide and was returning from work, just steps away from home when she was slugged. Her brother owns a restaurant across the street from where she lives. He and this employee chased the suspect down. Johan Flores says he was still standing there. When they confronted him, he denied attacking Pichardo, cold and emotionless. They followed him for several blocks and stopped him from fleeing until police arrived. Cops arrested 33-year-old Franz Judy. The suspect was charged with misdemeanor assault, meaning he's not bail eligible. He'll be released.
That's a misdemeanor assault? Punching a woman in the face who he doesn't even know? Released without bail. Yeah. Good job, New York. This guy steals a phone, tries to run away in London, but gets rugby tackled and put in a headlock by a grandma.
Please, come back!
Good on her. Good on her. Sacramento, California, happening now. Young man, teenager, robbed by gunpoint for his clothes in the middle of the day. I mean, really? Oh, things are going to get really pretty friggin' wild. Dash cam video shows deadly Texas school bus crash and with a cement truck. A 5-year-old died, and I believe the bus driver died. The bus had more than 40 pre-K students returning from a zoo field trip. I mean, what the hell was that driver doing? He literally just comes right into their lane. Phew, boy, be very aware. Be very aware, be very aware. And here, all right, Governor DeSantis signs law that allows squatters to be immediately evicted and arrested. Arrested, breaking an entry.
Imagine going on vacation and coming home to find people living there and refusing to leave. Well, that's called squatting, and believe it or not, when it happens, it's really hard to evict the squatters. Well, not anymore. A new state law will make the process much easier for property owners. Ari Otzer joins us live from Opelika to explain the issue. Ari.
Well, Juwan, it's almost unheard of for a bill to pass through the Florida legislature, both the House and the Senate, with unanimous support. Everyone from both parties agreeing that something had to be done about squatting. And today, Governor DeSantis signed that bill into law.
Very good. Every governor should be doing exactly the same thing. It's a crime. Why should the owner go through the expense of having to evict them when in an awful lot of states it takes sometimes 6 months? Hundreds of troops deployed to the border.
Well, the battle at the border isn't letting up. The Texas Tactical Border Force is deploying hundreds of soldiers to our border. Hundreds arrived in El Paso this afternoon. Our KTSM 9 News reporter Tirsa Ortiz is live in the Lower Valley with more details on how the force plans to help. Tirsa.
Well, good afternoon, Estella. That's correct. 2 planes landed just hours ago, carrying about 200 specially trained Texas forces. Now, details are limited from the Texas military. However, it's clear that state officials are concerned with the growing tensions at the southern border. A spokesperson with the Texas military did tell our KTSM crew that the Tactical Border Force specializes in civil disturbances. Deploying units like this to border communities is nothing new, often sent out to areas of high migration to intercept or turn back people who enter the U.S. illegally. We spoke with Mayor Oscar Leeser just days ago about his thoughts on the current border situation, and here's what he had to say.
You're talking about the National Guard. It's something that we didn't request and we won't request from the state of Texas.
Now, Mayor Oscar Leeser also added that he does have faith in our current border authorities. Neighbors in the area also told me they have noticed an increase in migrants and authorities coming in and out of their neighborhoods over the past few weeks, arresting people.
Denmark stands at a crossroad, caught between the...
Oh, I'm sorry. Denmark. Ah. The not invited illegal migrants are causing an awful lot of chaos in Denmark.
The cherished traditions that define its past to now unforeseen migration challenges that are reshaping its future.
The migrants are arriving uninvited and refusing to adopt Danish customs.
As the nation grapples with an influx of migrants, the economic and social landscape is being transformed. Is migration helping or hurting the Danish citizen? In today's video, we will talk about how Denmark's handling the recent migrant influx, and stay till the end to know if Denmark's open door policy is becoming its own Trojan horse. Number 6. Copenhagen. Copenhagen's reputation as a bicycle-loving haven with open arms seems to be getting a bit of a flat tire. Sure, helping those down on their luck is great, but lately, immigration's become a real headache. Riots have increased, and those who point out the mistakes are labeled as far-right and racist. But it shows how tense things are getting. Copenhagen used to be a thriving place for the locals. Now that vibe feels like it's fading fast. Since the refugee crisis started, with Syria and now Ukraine, the city's feeling the squeeze. A lot of these migrants don't have the skills to jump straight into a good job. So what happens? They take the lower-paying gigs, the ones locals could use. This puts a strain on the sweet welfare system Denmark has. Everything's costing more these days, with living costs shooting up by 9%. Look, Copenhagen needs to get real. It can't just keep the doors wide open forever. This isn't about shutting everyone out. It's about finding a way forward that works for the locals in the city. But this migrant crisis isn't just for Copenhagen. It has spread to other cities as well. Number 5, Aarhus.
I will put the link in the chat and you can watch, but yeah, obviously it's not hard to have foreseen these problems, but I guess our politicians don't have any foresight. Oh, maybe they're implementing a deliberate, purposeful agenda instructed by the United Nations. Have you ever heard about the organization Elevated Access? We just found out about them. This is Gays Against Groomers. They are a non-profit that finds volunteer pilots to fly minors to states that provide child sterilization and mutilation services to youth.
Presenting Elevated Access. We believe everyone deserves access to healthcare. Our volunteer pilots
Healthcare? Healthcare? Disturbing and evil? Needs to be shut down? Absolutely. Anybody who knows anybody working for this organization, they should be shamed into the ground because they are disturbing and evil. For minors, at what point does this become kidnapping? No state has banned gender-affirming care for adults. This is solely a service for children, and they tout that they have given over 1,000 flights so far. Absolutely criminal. It's criminal. This is called child abuse in the worst way. And there apparently is an antibiotic-resistant bacteria outbreak at NIH, National Institute for Health. It's not at the building. We've got a antibiotic-resistant bacteria going on, and people are getting sick.
Nowhere is the threat of antibiotic-resistant bacteria more urgent than in hospitals, with their heavy reliance on antibiotics and their population of vulnerable patients. There have been problems in hospitals around the country, and over the past decade, hospitals in the New York City area have become the epicenter of a particularly resistant and deadly superbug. It's called KPC. It lives in the digestive system and can spread its resistance to other bacteria. And patients who get it in one hospital can carry the bacteria to other hospitals. That happened in a story we first told in 2013, when one of the nation's most prestigious hospitals, the Clinical Center at the National Institutes of Health, found itself battling a major KPC outbreak.
Oops, sorry, I was wrong. But it brings you up to date on this continuing to happen. Smooth streaming every friggin' night now. I have to deal with this. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, and somebody said that they got in late. Wanted to know if the links were underneath the video when it posts. No, I'm sorry, because there's just too many. but I did put the link into JWTV again. His April 8th, the emergency dark plan exposed. Okay. But, you know, I remember 2009, 2010, you know, friends going to the doctor and, well, they didn't have anything, but their doctor told them to just take antibiotics just in case. Just in case. Is it a surprise that we have an awful lot of people who are antibiotic resistant? Orwell Huxley's ghost writes, "Good morning, friends." But a good quote from George Carlin. "I like people who buck the system, individualists. I often warn people, somewhere along the way, someone is going to tell you there is no I in team." Oh boy, didn't I hear that. What you should tell them is, maybe not, but there is an I in independence, individuality, and integrity. Nice. Thanks, Orwell. Outrage. Oh. Outrage spreads over video showing Israeli soldiers shooting unarmed Palestinians.
Video showing Israeli forces in Gaza shooting and killing 2 unarmed Palestinians. One of the men repeatedly waves what appears to be a piece of white fabric to show that they're not a threat. Their bodies are then buried by a bulldozer. The Israeli army hasn't commented on the video, and we warn you that you may find some of the images in Barbara Angopa's report distressing.
These unarmed men are trying to return to their homes in northern Gaza. The only way to get there is through Al-Rashid Street, west of Gaza City. And near the Nabulsi roundabout, southwest of Gaza City, Israeli forces are deployed. A Palestinian man approaches the Israeli soldiers. He raises a white flag, an international sign of surrender, and Israeli troops allow him to approach safely. Meanwhile, the other young man turns back to where he came from. He too raises a white flag. Here, the first man disappears from view in the footage. Then Israeli soldiers use a Nemer armored vehicle to chase down the young man walking away from them. He waves a small white flag at them. But the white flag doesn't prevent soldiers from opening fire on him. An Israeli bulldozer arrives on the scene, and here we see the body of the first man on the ground. In a final indignity, the giant bulldozer shovels the 2 bodies and buries them in sand and litter. The Israeli soldiers attempt to conceal the executions. The whereabouts of a group of Palestinian witnesses is unknown.
This does not do any Jew or Israeli, wherever you are in the world, any good. You know, this whole thing with Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, Candace Owens getting, well, we don't even know. Was she fired? Don't even know that. Was she pushed out? Don't know that. Candace Owens will be fine. Daily Wire may not be. Oh, wait, it might be. Because I was listening to this guy talk about how Ben Shapiro is a military asset for Israel. What a flippin' surprise is that, huh? I'm very upset at what YouTube is doing because I can't get to the channel. Let me see, because this is a video that I want to. Okay. an interview that is very important. Maybe it was on live. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the link is in the chat. It really was. And it was a very good interview. So, but Ben Shapiro, wow. Well, he's got to be an asset for Israel. The guy's a lunatic.
An interesting and I think important story going on in the media world. And that, of course, is the latest contretemps between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. For months, they've been going back and forth with each other since. And when he appeared on the show, Piers asked him about Candace Owens. They talked about a lot of stuff. They talked about Israel and Palestine. They talked about Rabbi Shmuley. But at one point, the conversation turned to Candace Owens, and here is what Ben Shapiro said.
You and your company have been at the center of a very high-profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired, or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Now, this is fascinating. Now, it's not particularly surprising that he would say he's not going to speak to it. When companies depart, especially when they fire people, they don't want to say, well, we fired her because of her beliefs on Israel-Palestine. They don't want to say we fired her because we didn't agree with her, because that smells like a lawsuit, especially if they fired her. Now, you might say, Mark, you're reading too much into this. He just said he didn't want to talk about it. Well, Ben Shapiro likes to talk about everything. He's one of those people who comes on TV. He's a guest like me who comes on and is pretty much an open book. They'll answer the questions. You may not agree with them, but they're going to answer the questions. Well, not so much this time. He took a very different position. But let's keep going, because Piers Morgan did his job and kept pressing.
Can I ask why?
I mean, you can ask.
No, I'm not. You can ask why you don't want to say anything.
Again, you can ask.
I'm only curious because I know what a staunch defender of free speech you are, and it would surprise me if it had been someone's opinions that would make you want to part company with them. However contentious.
I mean, suffice it to say, the only thing I will say is what.
He is a massive, just huge hypocrite of free speech. He started attacking Candace Owens when she was just questioning. This was right after October 7, when she was questioning, what was happening, and dared to say, well, what makes a Jew's life more special than a Palestinian's life? And but we have military assets working in an awful lot of websites that claim to be independent journalism, and in all social media. Israel has banned UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese from Palestinian territories. That is her job. If you work for the UN or any other human rights group and you haven't been banned by Israel, you're clearly not doing your job properly, and I agree.
Following nearly 6 months of unrelenting Israeli assault on occupied Gaza, it is my solemn duty to report on the worst of what humanity is capable of and to present my finding: the anatomy of a genocide. One of my key findings is that Israel's executive and military leadership and soldiers have intentionally distorted rules of international humanitarian law, distinction, proportionality, and precaution in an attempt to legitimize genocidal violence against the Palestinian people by deliberately stretching the definitions of human shield, evacuation orders, warnings, safe zones, collateral damage, and medical protection. Israel has used their protective function as humanitarian camouflage, with the effect of concealing patterns of conduct from which the only inference can reasonably be drawn is a state policy of genocidal violence against the Palestinians. In light of this, I find that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the threshold indicating the commission of the crime of genocide against Palestinians as a group in Gaza has been met. Specifically, Israel has committed 3 acts of genocide with the requisite intent: causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, and imposing measures intended to prevent birth within the group.
Well, there was a press conference. Listen to this guy's brilliant question.
Do you have a written document by the government with a clear intent to commit genocide?
Do you think that in Rwanda and in Bosnia-Herzegovina, any government officials wrote a document saying, I want to commit genocide?
Just wondering on a personal level for you, given how vocal you have been and how some of your statements might not please certain people, have you received any threats, any attempts at intimidation?
After 5 months of monitoring and analyzing Israel's onslaught on Gaza, my report finds that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the threshold indicating that Israel is committing the crime of genocide against the Palestinians as a group in Gaza has been met.
Genocide, you're saying that there is intent, and you're quoting...
So this guy is wanting a document that says, I want to commit genocide. Intent is one of the qualifiers that has to be met for one of the elements in that has to be met for genocide. A whole lot of the statements from the Prime Minister, Defense Minister, others in the cabinet, they have come out and made very clear statements that could prove intent. But he wants a document that says they intend genocide.
The President of Israel, the Prime Minister, the Defense Minister, and some top militaries. But these are only quotes given in speeches or in other circumstances. I would like to ask you, do you have a written document by the government with a clear intent to commit genocide?
Do you think that in Rwanda and in Bosnia-Herzegovina, any government officials wrote a document saying, I want to commit genocide? Have you seen anything like that? I'll answer this for you. No, it doesn't work like that. Those statements are just the tip of the iceberg, because I have a word limit in my reports, which is quite strict. Otherwise, we could write an encyclopedia with what has been said and done. And I said it, and I mean it. If the International Criminal Court is serious about investigating what Israel has done in Gaza, as of the 7th of October, only as of the 7th of October, it will be busy for decades. Looking at the previous genocides and jurisprudence that has been developed on those cases, it's clear that The intent can be direct in statements, public statements, declarations, having people with command authority, or having the prime minister and having the president of the state issuing statements. They are so dehumanizing, evoking violence. Not once, not twice, continuously for months. It's supported by jurisprudence in other cases that this is genocidal incitement. And look what, it's been reflected, it has reverberated across the conduct of troops on the ground. They've used the same words. Amalek. Amalek is a program in itself. And then, as you say, are there documents? If you read my report, you will see that I've quoted official documents, legal analysis, that the legal justification that Israel uses. There are two, one version and then an updated version with the key legal findings. And it's exactly what I said. It's humanitarian camouflage because they justify what they're doing using IHL categories, evacuations and human shields. Everyone is a human shield. Everyone is a human shield. Women, children, anything that is between the troops and whatever is their objective. And by the way, the overall objective, eradicating Hamas, destroying Hamas, which is not even a real military objective. Because one thing is to neutralize, destroy the military capacity of an organization. Another thing is to target also the civilian components. And this is what has been done. Every Hamas affiliate has been considered.
Yes, I will put the link in. Unbelievable. And yeah, she has to face these journalists quite often. And I think she's just, her frustration kind of makes her smile. But the absurdity of the questions, it's kind of like, how could you possibly ask these questions when it's so in your face that this is what is going on? Trying to hold it together. And here, this was a good video. Kim Iverson with, oh God, I hate when I forget names. People I watch all the time. Okay, well.
A rise in anti-Semitism towards you, even though you're a very Do you feel like there's been a rise in anti-Semitism towards you, even though you're a very outspoken critic of Israel? Do you feel higher rates of anti-Semitism?
No.
Katie Halper.
Well, every now and then I will see something anti-Semitic that's like posted by someone who posts stuff that's good on, like, I will every now and then see something anti-Semitic that comes from anti-Zionist accounts.
Right.
But I don't feel like there's been an uptick. And I don't think most people, most the anti-Zionists I know and like who are my allies really understand that anti-Semitism, like Jewish safety and Palestinian safety, are linked. And when you pretend that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, that's dangerous. And this idea, Joe Biden saying like Jews aren't safe without Israel, like that's not the world I want to live in, where I feel like my president, like I hate to call him that, but
in
like
your
my
own
president,
country.
Yeah, my own country. Yeah, that's just an absurd thing to say.
Right.
And, like the people I know who care about the Palestinians I know, or Arab Americans I know who care about what's happening to Palestinians, also know that anti-Semitism is real. It's just not criticism of Israel. And in fact, it trivializes real anti-Semitism when you pretend that's what it is.
Yeah.
This was a very good interview. I'm putting the link in. You can listen. It's only 9 minutes long. But there was another very good interview. Oh, well, it's part of... Oh, where did it go? I'm not liking that. Shit. Where did the titles go? Wow, man. I think this is... Oh, if you want to know about Haiti, and you want to know, are they really cannibals? Perhaps mainstream media is just feeding that into you. It's a very demoralizing thing to say about Haitians. So I'll post the link. Actually, let me go to Jimmy Dore. Cannibalism charges. Yeah, well, you can
Haitian
listen to
American-
this man who is a reporter down in Haiti. And oh, by the way, you might hear that Haitians really don't like Hillary Clinton or the Clintons or Biden. Our footprint is heavy all over the world. And a whole lot of people are suffering because of that fucking footprint. But I want to go back to Kim Iverson because I thought I had it open and she did a part with Katie. Just excerpts from the interview that she did. What makes a Jew a Jew? A very good conversation. And
there's been a lot of things.
There's an awful lot of Jews who are not religious, and it's more a cultural thing. But it was good to listen, you know, and also listen to Kim Iverson, who talks about how she was a Mormon, no longer. She's a Buddhist, but she also celebrates Christmas and Easter because it's more tradition and cultural. It doesn't mean that somebody's religious. So throwing people into a group is a very dangerous and lazy way, you know, of perceiving the world. Because the truth is lost when you do that. And there's an awful lot of differences between everybody within one group. So Russian warships enter Red Sea? Oh, well, this is interesting. Enter Red Sea as rival U.S.-led coalition patrols. Houthi attacks against international shipping is ongoing, and as the waters are still being patrolled by the U.S.-led military coalition, Russia enters with their warships. They're engaged in a patrol mission, but it remains unclear whether additional support vessels are participating as well. Wow, the Red Sea is busy. Trump's Bibles and the evolution of his messianic message. God, this is so unbelievably sickening. Trump was neither a regular churchgoer nor prone to displays of faith. In fact, my being a New Yorker, he all over, because he's just such a narcissist, always wanted to be on page 6 of the New York Post, which is the gossip page. with his arm draped around a beautiful model. He was so not a Christian. So not a Christian. I mean, what he's doing now, really, it should raise the eyebrows of Christians. Like, what is going on? But all you need to do with an awful lot of Christians is just say you're a Christian, and they bow down to you, and yay! They don't care about how you live your life. Trump was neither a regular churchgoer nor prone to displays of faith before running for president. His 2016 campaign produced a series of memorable gaffes as he courted the GOP's evangelical base. Trump said he had never asked God for forgiveness. That was during an interview. And called communion his little wine and little cracker. Trump repeatedly refused to name his favorite Bible verse, calling it very personal. Trump cited a verse from what he called 2 Corinthians instead of 2 Corinthians, drawing laughter from the crowd. And conservative allies, including an influential think tank led by Trump's former budget director Russ Vought, have developed plans to infuse, quote, Christian nationalism into his second-term agenda. So much for separation of church and state. Trump repeatedly has claimed that the radical left is persecuting Christians and vowed at a December rally to create a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias. I'm tired of Christians thinking they're the only ones who are being persecuted. Everybody who is speaking the truth is being persecuted. You have people losing their jobs. That's a persecution simply because they don't go along with the woke agenda. Do we need to stick together? And yeah, we do. So Christians, it's not just you who are being persecuted. Come into the fold of those who are not Christian, who are also being persecuted. Trump increasingly has treated Christian imagery as a powerful rhetorical tool, including by comparing various investigations and indictments to the persecution of Jesus, which he did do. 2024 campaign trail, the religious undertones employed by Trump and his allies have grown more apocalyptic, even messianic. And I have to tell you, I think he's doing this to create a wedge between Christians and everybody else, and to get an awful lot of people riled up, angry, also to get support. And hey, he's selling his book, okay? On Truth Social, and it was also played at Trump rallies, a narrator's voice booms. On June 14, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. Whoa. On the first day of his New York civil fraud trial in October, Trump shared an AI-generated courtroom sketch depicting himself sitting next to Jesus. Trump posted a message he said he received from a follower. It's ironic that Christ walked through his greatest persecution the very week they are trying to steal your property from you. Christ didn't have $6.2 billion. Christ didn't sell sneakers. Christ didn't beg for donations, which Trump is doing when he has a whole lot of money. Christ, if he had $6.2 billion, he might be helping those in need. And what boggles my mind, there are so many things that Trump did that you would think the awake crowd would be very upset about. Operation Warp Speed. Let the military deliver those things. Has he ever acknowledged any of the death associated with those things? Has he ever acknowledged how many people he harmed with those things? No. 5G, the rollout. We're going to roll it out. And what did he do? He gave the power to the telecommunication companies to usurp the power of local governments and let telecommunication companies put those 5G structures anywhere they wanted. I don't get it. The wall was never built. And yeah, he did have the power to do that. He had the authority to build that wall. National security issue. He's the commander-in-chief, right? He was a yahoo for bioengineering and AI. And there's so much more. I mean, the guy is a psychopath. He's a narcissist. He's for the killing of all of these Palestinians. He's so not Christ. Not Christ. You know, and fortunately, other people see it. Another blasphemous Bible. The Bible is inspired not by God, but by Lee Greenwood's hit song, God Bless the USA. That's Trump's Bible. And it is described as easy to read, large print, and slim design. This Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. This Bible has been designed so that it delivers an easy reading experience in the trusted King James. Trusted? Do you know how many? King James. The Church of England. That's the King James Bible. You know, the government of England. There are so many obviouses that I just, it's mind-boggling. Yeah, designed so that it delivers an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, which has been changed a number of times. This large print Bible will be perfect to take to church, a Bible study, to work, travel. It had to be made with the King James Version in order to sell it, because an awful lot of people rely on the King James Version. So, according to an article in the Washington Post, Hugh Kirkpatrick is head of the Nashville company Elite Source Pro that is behind the Bible. About 600 pre-orders have been placed from 30 states. The new Bible is a clear symbol of Christian nationalism. Kirkpatrick said he's fielded about 70 emails since the Bible's announcement, and roughly 60% have been critical of the project. This latest blasphemous Bible is scheduled to hit bookstores in September. Oh, this article was written, I think, 2 years ago. Oh, hey, the new Bible is a clear symbol of Christian nationalism. All right, so 70 emails, 60% critical. This latest blasphemous Bible is scheduled to hit bookstores in September to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11, but for only $49.99. What's the price now? $59.99. Inflation. Trump Yeah. You can get free shipping. And although 100% satisfaction is guaranteed, all sales are final. God bless the USA. Why should he? Is it because the USA is the abortion capital of the world? The pornography capital of the world? The drug capital of the world? Or the transgender capital of the world? I'm still trying to figure that one out. And the most vile, dangerous terrorist organization the world has ever known, USA. God blesses the USA. No. No. We have, in 2023, we had 112,000 fentanyl deaths. Have you heard mainstream media talking about how many people are dying from fentanyl? Every now and then they do. 112,000 in 1 year. That's pandemic. That's a pandemic. King Charles' Easter message calls for kindness and friendship after double cancer shock. So, yeah, Trump going real Christian, forgetting that there is a separation between church and state. And this guy, yes, stresses the importance of friendship. He will say, oh, how Jesus set an example of how we should serve and care for each other. This guy? This guy. See, there are people in the world that fall for this shit. Yeah, Jesus. And how, as a nation, we need and benefit greatly from those who extend the hand of friendship to us, especially in a time of need. It is sickening to see the most vile people talk about values that are really important to humanity, but you know damn well that they ain't following it at all. They care less. I hope there's a title on this. Yes, incredible. Seeing is believing. The economic free fall is worsening faster. All right, Greg Manorino, just a few minutes.
Moving forward, it's yeah, Robert. It's actually burning down much faster than we think it is. Robert M. writes, the country is slowly burning down to the ground. This is deliberate. The central banks of the world are working together in concert to destroy the current system.
And we all know that, so I'll put the link in. You can listen. I'm going to use the last couple of minutes to run through some economic news. It's bad. It's not good. Experts warn mass migration threatens U.S. food security. Why? Because we have diseases and parasites coming over with this open border. It's affecting cattle. The normal guardrails for inspection are ignored, raising the likelihood of unwanted diseases being brought across the border. I did not know this, but tens of thousands of cattle were put to death for having tuberculosis. Law firm hiring plummets 35% amid layoffs, slow demand. I know, an awful lot of people hate lawyers and they'll think, good, okay. It's more, and people are in law school expecting a job. There's not going to be a job for an awful lot of them. And why is there slow demand today for lawyers? Because people can't afford. They'd love to sue somebody No doubt they can't afford lawyers. Walgreens to cut costs by $1 billion this year with layoffs. A whole lot of layoffs are coming. 36 rural hospitals have closed since 2020, and if you want to check out where, the link is in the chat. Just what Gregory Mannarino just said, you know, it's happening rapidly now, and we're all going to be affected by it. Some of us have been affected by it already. It's going to get so much worse. It's going to spread out. So I hope that you're prepared. I really do. Psychically, physically, mentally, spiritually, it's going to hurt. Universities of Wisconsin president proposes a tuition increase. If you have any kids that are in their last year of high school, don't be filling out college and university applications, because there are no jobs out there. Okay? Our economy is going down. Universities and colleges are increasing tuition. Okay. That should tell you that they are screwing you badly. They just want more money, but they know that these kids coming out of college, out of universities, end up in Starbucks. 8 states plan on banning sale of gas-powered vehicles as Biden EPA tackles climate crisis. The states: California, Rhode Island, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Washington, and D.C. Okay, so we know this. But nobody wants an EV. Sputtering EV sales, a whole lot of people are ditching the EV. And the outright ban on the sale of new gas-powered vehicles comes after 2035. How could people think that this guy is qualified for anything? Oh boy, so yes, okay. The lies that they tell about the economy, you see it, you listen to them, then you have an awful lot in the finance field. They come out and they say another lie. Philadelphia Fed admits U.S. payrolls overstated by at least 800,000. Red flags emerged in the summer of 2022. That's when the Biden Labor Department started well and truly rigging the labor market. Oh, look at us. We created 500,000 jobs. Every month they come out saying something. And then within a couple of days or a week, you get all of the articles about, well, we've downsized those numbers. Well, we've got to change those numbers. Baltimore Union warns of job loss. Tsunami after bridge collapse paralyzes port. There are 2,400 members that are soon going to be without a job. And that's the point, right? That is the point. Bidenomics blowback, survey-based sentiment collapses as hope evaporates from the consumer. Why is it evaporating? Because they have no money. Because they're struggling to pay their bills. And it's only going to get worse. That's why community is so friggin' important, that you get out there, you talk to your neighbors, you know, without community, everybody's going to get really angry and then go down. You know, I mean, I hate that community has just been completely destroyed, but we have to look at ourselves. We have to answer for the destruction of community. Sorry, the social engineers did it. You want to point the finger out there and not in here, then you're missing a truth. And I'm not talking about individual, but collectively we've done it, because we don't value anything in this country but money. So when you don't value community, you don't value friendship, you don't really value family, you value money, this is the direction you go. Downward. BlackRock CEO, very bullish on Bitcoin. Very bullish on Bitcoin. You want to know why? Because Bitcoin, it's like YouTube was sold to Google. Bitcoin is not going to survive a digital. A whole lot of people think Bitcoin is the answer. Bitcoin, and I said this in a lot of videos, when that first came out, I thought, something is amiss here. Bitcoin. And everybody was like just diving into it. It was to program people to get used to digital, and then it will be usurped by Fed coin. All right, so it is 7 o'clock. Dare I overwhelm you with a lot? Which I do. You got to get out there. You got to help people. You got to extend yourself. You got to help your communities, the animal shelters, the food pantries. Yeah. Can't call others liars? Why not? Well, you can do that under nature. I will call out liars. And be safe, you know. I try every night to show you things are not getting better. Things are pretty wild out there. Criminals, a whole lot of them are just not even being prosecuted. They are being released back onto the street. We've got the illegal migrants all over the country. So, yeah, you need to be safe and be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. And thank you for showing up. I hope to see you tomorrow night. And on that note, I say good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.